What's up, everybody? Monday morning, One True Sport Daily, brought to you by OneTrueSport.com. I am Ryan Droste from the Top Rope Nation podcast, here with my good friend Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media to talk all things pro wrestling, to preview Monday Night Raw, to talk about what happened over the weekend. A lot to get to. Zack, how you doing this morning?
Doing fantastic. Happy Monday, everybody. Pumped to be here. Glad you're here with us. And yeah, like we said last Friday, kind of a slow weekend in wrestling, but plenty to discuss, and a big SummerSlam go home edition of Monday Night Raw tonight. So it should be a fun one here.
Absolutely. Kind of odd for me, Zack. I don't have a cup of coffee in front of me right now. I've already had one this morning. I know. I need a second one. It was a long weekend here at the Droste household. We were celebrating my youngest daughter's 3rd birthday, and as I was telling you off air, I was outside pretty much all day yesterday in the heat and humidity, and dude, I am drained. I'm running on fumes right now. So
why no coffee? Why no coffee? Did you just run out, or what's happening over there?
I had the first one. I had an espresso, so it packs a punch. So I got to wait a little bit for the second one. But
I see. Okay.
We'll see.
Oh, well, espresso, that's a reasonable reason not to have a cup of coffee sitting.
Yeah, I don't want to be shaken like the Ultimate Warrior on this podcast before we're done. So
I'll tell you what, it felt like a true Monday morning in the Heydorn house today. Like, it's like kind of dark and gloomy outside. It's like the girls took forever to like wake up. Like, mom and dad woke up a little bit later than normal. It's pouring rain. It's just the absolute Mondays over here. So I've already had my coffee too, but I'm holding out. I'm trying not to have another one, but that's I'm gonna fail at that attempt. I can tell you all right now.
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully this chat room will keep us awake, though. We've got Maddie in the chat room already. I see him coming. I'm sure there'll be a few more as we go. As we say every week, number one way you guys can support what Zack and I do is to leave those super chats to make sure you get featured in the show. Super chats are the lifeblood of One True Sport Daily. They keep us coming back every day. So if you have a question for us, you have a comment, and you want to get it featured in the show, hit us with those super chats as always. And as we always say, you want to go to OneTrueSport.com, look into becoming a member. There are 3 tiers. You can get access to some of the biggest legends in the history of professional wrestling. You can get Zack and I's show on a podcast feed every day, so you can make sure you never miss the show at your convenience. You get all the whole rest of the One True Sport family's shows on the podcast feed as well. So look into it. Like I said, 3 tiers. It would be worth your while to join up. I know Maddie is a member here of the One True Sport brand, and we appreciate his support. Speaking of the One True Sport brand, Zack, you know how we've been talking about, we got merch. We'll put that up on the screen.
Ooh, look at that.
I got an email this morning. My One True Sport Daily t-shirt is out for delivery today.
Oh man.
It's already almost here.
So how long did it take to get from order to the email? Just so we can let everybody know it's going quick. It's going quick, guys.
I mean, I think it's I have to check the archive, but I think less than a week since I ordered that. I mean, it's quick, and I was hoping the mail would come early and I could wear it on the show, but not quite. So I'm gonna wear it tomorrow. You guys tune in. One True Sport Daily merch for the first time on air tomorrow. Get your own at One True Sport.
Oh man, now I want my merch to come, man. Dang. Come on, email machine. Come on, Chicago Mail. Let's go.
Yeah, well, you just has to be not too far behind.
It's not too far. Not too far.
Guys, so let's start out with SmackDown. So we previewed SmackDown on Friday. It was a taped show, obviously. But Zack, what did you think of SmackDown? Did you enjoy the show? Did it feel like a stopgap show to you? How'd you enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, it felt like a stopgap show for sure, but I didn't hate it either. I think when you see that kind of a card, your expectations automatically, at least mine did, just drop. Mm-hmm. So anything that was remotely okay, kind of thumbs up, I was like, okay, this is fine. I thought overall it made for a a solid, Saturday morning background watch, pretty much. There wasn't too much of consequence. You had like the solo Roman tease, which I think is like probably the most newsworthy thing that came out of that show. Which obviously I'm sure we'll talk about more here, but overall, yeah, I mean, it's one of those kind of filler episodes of SmackDown, and I just going in, we kind of ragged on it on Friday for being like this really weak card. I think it still was that. The matches were fine, but all in all, it pretty much was a background show.
Yeah. Agree. We can go through the results a little bit, kind of step by step. LA Knight, Santos Escobar. Man, Santos Escobar, this guy feels like a guy who's lost so much steam. Ever since the turn on Mysterio and everything, he's just kind of there, which is unfortunate because he had a lot of heat from the crowd just a few months back. And I mean, the result here was never in doubt. LA Knight gets the win, of course, gets jumped by Logan Paul afterwards. I mean, not surprising, pretty much exactly what they needed to do. Logan Paul was promising on the show that he'd have a legendary homecoming next week when they get to Cleveland for the final SmackDown the night before SummerSlam.
What do you think? Do you think they've done enough to like get that hometown Cleveland audience to boo Logan Paul?
No,
because I don't know, man. Like I know that they've got this like really kind of hot-ish LA Knight Logan Paul feud going on, and I think it's played the way they want it so far. But I mean, the elephant in the room is like this is in Logan Paul's hometown. I mean, I just don't know like how that response is going to go for him, and I'm like you. I don't think he's done enough to kind of like set the table to try to get that hometown audience to boo him. We'll see what they can do on Friday, but if I was LA Knight, I'd be like, hey guys, can we look at this for a minute, please? Because whether he's scheduled to win the belt or not, I mean, man, I think the whole match is weakened if for some reason that audience like flips on Knight.
I think it'll be two different dynamics. I think on SmackDown, Logan Paul will probably mostly get cheers with the smaller venue and everything. I think at SummerSlam, though, with the big stadium crowd, you have such a high percentage of those people traveling in that I think there'll still be cheers for him. But I think overall, LA Knight will have more cheers at SummerSlam. But I think it'll be a different dynamic on SmackDown.
Yeah, and also that's a good point too. Like they may get away with some of this by getting those like initial hometown cheers out of the way, like on Friday, on SmackDown, and then whatever. Logan Paul could cut the, I'm so glad I left this city, blah 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 promo to like try to get some heat. But yeah, interesting to see. But yeah, the match, this angle on Friday went pretty much exactly like you figured it would, and like you said, the way that it should have, to kind of like just tell another chapter, in this story, in this budding rivalry. It's crazy that Santos Escobar is just like the fuel for that and doesn't have anything more significant going on. The guy is really talented, man. Like I don't know really where they missed with him. I don't think he really did bad work, opposite working with Ray. It just kind of seemed like they decided like, we're not going to put like the full oomph behind him.
Yeah.
It really hurt him.
I think it's just really, really hard to book a full roster effectively, regardless of how positive people are on wrestling bookers and people like Paul Levesque, who's, overall done a really good job. But I mean, there's still aspects of WWE where you're like, geez, they could do a lot better there. The women's tag division, not great. You got people like Santos Escobar who were really heated up that they've just kind of forgotten. Yeah. So I think it's just really hard to book a full roster and effectively at least. So yeah. Maddie's got a super chat. Let's jump to what's going to be the SummerSlam main event right now. All right, so Maddie, thank you for the super chat. As always, sir, says, who saves Cody? Brock? Roman? He also says Dom will turn on Rhea. So let's start with the Cody stuff. All right, so they built up the Cody solo match. here on SmackDown with these pre-taped segments. They had Cody Rhodes like in this empty restaurant. He was he's sitting in front of the bar. No drink in hand, though. Come on, Cody.
Come on, Cody. You're better than that.
Better than that, man. He kind of talked up Solo. Like at first he didn't think he was up for the match, and now he's not so sure. So he challenged him to a face-off next week on SmackDown, and he wants to see if the look is there in his eyes, that he's ready for the match. And then they closed the show with one of those backstage bloodline segments again, with all the guys surrounding Solo. And Solo called out Roman. He said that Roman Reigns knows where to find him. So, of course, they're leading into what everyone expects to happen, that Roman will make an appearance at SummerSlam. So who saves Cody? I think inadvertently it will be Roman. I don't think that Roman's going to come out to try to help Cody, but I think that, there'll be a distraction to Solo, and that will give Cody the win, which I just I know they're trying to build up the guy, but your top babyface, shouldn't he just beat Solo Sikoa? Should he need distraction to do that? I mean, you could have Cody win and then a face-off after the match, but the way they book, I imagine there's going to be some distraction during the match from Roman. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, this was promoting Roman Reigns without having to announce him for the show. That's what this was. It was just telling everybody hey, we're not gonna tell you for sure that Roman Reigns is gonna be there, but you should tune in to watch SummerSlam because he's gonna be there. I think that was the strategy here. I really hope it's the latter option that you mentioned. And obviously we'll preview SummerSlam later this week in its entirety, but it's Cody should beat Solo Sikoa. Almost not. They're trying to build him up. I get that. And so straight up is, okay, it has its pros and cons, but it's kind of weak if Roman Reigns has to come back and help Cody beat Solo Sikoa. I don't know that plays really well for your newly anointed babyface, face of the company world champion in Cody Rhodes either. So here's the thing. If I was booking it, they'd have this burner of a match. Cody gets the win, and then Roman comes out for the confrontation after the fact on Solo. Or maybe, Cody gets the win and, the new bloodline just, starts beating up Cody after the fact. And then, you have Roman come out to kind of end that. I think both of those options are better than Roman just outright helping Cody Rhodes win and retain the title. But to answer your question, it's not going to be Brock. It's going to be Roman. He's going to be the one that appears there. If I was a pro wrestling betting man, I'd be putting all the chips in on that.
Yeah, I know why he mentioned Brock, because Hunter had said that they might be open to working with Brock, and kind of cringed when I saw that. Go back and read the lawsuit. I wouldn't be working with Brock Lesnar right now. I was a little surprised to see Paul Levesque say that, but the name is out there certainly right now. So yeah,
that'd be a big mistake, man.
Big mistake.
I think it'd be a big mistake. First, on multiple levels. One, I mean, Brock, it's we've been there and done that with the Brock stuff at this point. I just don't know, who, if Brock comes back, who's he going to work? Gunther, maybe? I mean, I guess you could, that's a potential match. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, we've seen him face pretty much everybody on the show. So yeah. It's what value does he have? Even if he didn't have this lawsuit stuff going on and being involved, or his, name dropped in the Vince McMahon lawsuit, even if that wasn't happening, it's the last WrestleMania he worked, it was Omos that he was wrestling. It's that's where he's kind of at. So it's not the juice isn't worth the squeeze with him. It's just absolutely not worth it. And that's just completely eliminating the gross and just abhorrent stuff that's in that lawsuit about Brock. And then you add that in, and it's dude, you shouldn't be touching that guy with a 10-foot pole. I mean, it's just it's just not worth it. He should be getting the axe just like they've done with Vince. So I was very surprised to hear Paul Levesque say that, because they don't need Brock right now.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, we'll probably talk more about Rhea and Dom tomorrow when we review Raw, but I think we've both kind of been on the train that Dom's going to cost Rhea the match and they'll continue the story. I don't think it's going to be a full-on turn yet, though. I think they'll play into, like, there's some doubt if he's really turning on her, and they'll slow burn it a little bit more. But
yeah. I mean, I think they're going to extend this out for better or worse. And as I've mentioned, I think that there's diminishing returns on that potentially if they don't do it right. We'll see tonight, like what goes on with that. But yeah, like they clearly, they want this to be like it seems like they want this to be like a long drawn out story, like Sammy turning on the bloodline or Jay turning on Roman. Like they want this to be like a long thing. I think the dynamic is very different between Dom and Rhea. So I don't know. I don't know how that's going to shake out, but I'm here for it.
Yeah. All right. I see we got an off-color joke from Maddie in the super chats.
Yes,
I'll put that up at the end of the show, Maddie. But you're gonna get me kicked off YouTube, Maddie. What are you doing, man? Yeah, we'll put that up in the close. We'll end in the closing segment. We'll build up the hype for that one. Elsewhere on SmackDown, so we covered Cody, we covered Solo, covered what happened in that opening segment. We had this promo segment from Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, was pretty much nothing. They ended up getting attacked from behind by Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I mean, this tag division is just, I mean, you have to put the titles back on Bianca and Jade. I didn't mind them doing the switch, given everything that had happened in the personal life of Alba Fire, but it's time to move them back to Bianca and Jade and have them dominate the division until they break up and then build to a WrestleMania match between them, I think. So I think right now they're just treading water, and they don't even have the champions really wrestling on TV hardly. So it feels like there's no importance to that women's tag division. And that's unfortunately been kind of the case ever since they launched the women's tag titles.
It really has, man. It is, it's crazy. Like, to me, I've always been in the mindset of like, you've got all these hours of programming that you got to put on like in a week for WWE. It's like, why not try to make these things matter? Like if you did, you'd be able to like fill 20 minutes here, 15 minutes there with like solid women's tag stuff. But there is no at all focus on it. It's like, and it's wild. So I'm with you. Like, I think if you want to have any kind of semblance of like order or relevance for the division, the titles have to be on the waist of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. And then it's on you to build up potential challengers down the road to like take those belts off them. And they've got seeds planted, right? They've got like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. They've got the new group with like that Sonya Deville is leading. They've got obviously they've got Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Like, so like they're, the seeds are there, but like you got to like, pardon the lame pun here, but you got to like give them some water, man. You got to like do something to grow those teams and to elevate them and to make them matter. And they either don't have the patience for it, or like, I don't know. I always think that like maybe there's some sort of metric that they know from a data perspective where they're like, well, people just don't like the women's tag division. But at the same time, it's a total self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if you don't
give them reason to.
Yeah, there's no reason to. So you got to decide, like, all right, we're either going to go with this or we're not going to go with this. And, so for better or worse, get those titles on Bianca and Jade. But boy, it's you don't want them to water down those two either. And I think that sometimes you're at a risk of that.
Yeah. They had the tag gauntlet, for the shot at the tag team championships on SmackDown this Friday. And no surprise, Bloodline wins. Jacob Fatu.
Shocking.
Tamatanga.
Shocking.
The Street Profits were in there a while, though. They defeated 3 of the teams. And I mean, this was not, as I said, not surprising at all. I mean, the bigger thing here is that they continue. This booking of Montez Ford, I don't know what they're doing with this guy. I mean, for years now, everybody has talked about how he has superstar potential written all over him. Awesome wrestler, charisma that just jumps off at the screen at you. I don't know what they're waiting for on this guy. I mean, the Street Profits have long past their expiration date, and he's just there. And he just seems like a superstar in waiting that they continue to do nothing with. So if you want to criticize WWE booking, you can praise it, you can criticize it, but this is another criticism I have. Is like, what the hell is the deal with Montez Ford? What are we waiting for here?
Dude, I don't know. I love doing these shows where we can kind of dig into some of the stuff that we normally wouldn't dig into, because this is a really interesting topic. That guy, he was a guy that you looked at as a tag team and go, man, that's like, Shawn Michaels ish in the Rockers, where you're like, boy, strong tag team, but man, Montez Ford is a potential breakout guy. And there's a couple things that pop out. There hasn't ever even really been an attempt to present him as a singles act. So it's not like they've tried it and it didn't work, and so now they've backed off. I mean, he had an Elimination Chamber appearance, I think, one time as a singles guy, but it was pretty much totally inconsequential. He's never had that time as a singles guy to talk or to create a singles character or anything like that. It's always been Montez Ford with Street Profits that's just wrestling in a singles match or something. And with a mid-card division that has Logan Paul in it, LA Knight in it, there's room for a Montez Ford there to see what they have. I think it's just crazy that they've not tried to give him some sort of push. It really is wild. I'd like to see it. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, because it's two regimes now that it's happened with. It didn't happen under Vince, and it hasn't happened under Paul Levesque either. So I'd be real interested when the Montez Ford book is written in 15, 20 years. It's going to be really interesting to see what the situation was, because it's really surprising. And he's a homegrown guy too. He's a performance center guy, and they always pushing those guys. So it's it's bizarre.
Yeah. Elsewhere on the show, boxer Terrence Crawford got involved. They had a promo segment where you had Grayson Waller and Austin Theory call him out for his helping Cody Rhodes with the chair last week, and he ends up knocking out Waller. And they do this thing, to Austin Theory. He knocked out Austin Theory. They do this kind of stuff to try to get some buzz from the real sports world. I mean, I didn't see many headlines about this, so whatever. The live crowd liked it. Pretty much a nothing burger though. And then the main event match was a tag with Bayley and Michin taking on Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. Match was fine. Jax and Stratton get the win. Not really surprising, because I assume Bayley's gonna defeat Nia at SummerSlam. The drama is whether there'll be a cash in or not. I don't really know who's looking forward to Bayley versus Nia Jax. Zach, you looking forward to that match?
I'm looking forward to the cash in. I mean, I think that's the only way they could put some intrigue into this. No, I'm not looking forward to the match. It's Nia Jax, and then it's a really, to me, a cold Bayley character. Goodness gracious. I mean, I don't know, man. I never think it's a good thing for someone to turn babyface because the heel group you're with kind of doesn't want you anymore. I think that's always just bad psychology to really get over as a babyface. And that's what happened to Bayley. And she still has that heel music. She hasn't really changed up the look all that much. I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working with her at all. And it's really flat. And so I don't think you put the title on Nia Jax, but I don't know that there's any value with it being on Bayley right now. So to me, it seems like a perfect opportunity to get the most out of a cash in. Probably a little too soon for Tiffany Stratton, especially, because I think part of the hook for her on TV right now is that she gets to run around with the briefcase, and that's, kind of her shtick. But at the same time, you got to make that women's championship on SmackDown mean something, and it just doesn't right now. It's yucky. Yeah. So so no, to answer your question, I'm not. And this main event didn't really hype me up anymore for it either.
Yeah. Let's transition to what's planned for Raw tonight, because Maddie's got a super chat and commenting everything happened on Raw. Everything he's mentioned, 3 things here, all Raw storylines. So I got to say, someone asked us in the chat a little bit ago, which brand is better right now or what show is better. To me, it's Raw. Like easily, it's Raw. I don't think it's really close. And Maddie says, Punk versus Drew, money, Wyatt 6, big fan. Braun, new IC champ. So tonight on Raw, we're getting a segment where the special referee, Seth Rollins, is going to go over his expectations. He's going to give his instructions for Punk and McIntyre at SummerSlam. That's advertised for the show tonight. You've got, and I'll come back and get your thoughts on all this, Zach. Let me just run it down real quick. So that's planned. We've got Finn Balor against Gunther tonight, which should be a hell of a match. We got Xavier Woods against Karrion Kross. Probably not going to be a hell of a match. And that's not because of Woods. Sorry. Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark taking on Lyra Valkyria, Caden Carter, and Katana Chance. Sheamus versus Bronson Reed, and the Creed brothers versus Tozawa and Otis. All right, Zach, thoughts on the Rollins segment for tonight?
I would be very afraid of this segment if it was a Vince McMahon produced segment, because I think it just would be loaded with just obnoxious, annoying, whatever, just Vince McMahon type stuff. I'm a little more open to it in a Triple H led creative WWE. The last time these 3 guys were in the ring together doing something was in Chicago. Or they cut a really good promo segment ahead of WrestleMania in Chicago at a Raw that I was at. It all seemed really off the cuff. It seemed like, they didn't necessarily have everything scripted out, and they just went. It was really entertaining. I think they could replicate some of that here. And at the same time, they have to walk a fine line of not making it too much Seth, or Punk versus Drew versus Seth. I think they really have to establish that it's Punk against Drew. That's the story to me. That's the essence of this that they need to iron out. And so, I'm fine, or I'm willing to be open-minded about Seth being the rule of law and the Iron Fist and all that, and being a guy that's going to call this match and tell him how it's done. But I think in the end, they don't want. I don't think you want to present this as a triple threat. I really think that it's Drew versus Punk, and Rollins is just the referee. And so I hope that they can figure out a way to define that and showcase that while putting a bunch of drama behind it. Do you think that Seth is going to how do you think Seth's going to approach this? Is it going to be, hey, the rule of law is there is no rules, and I just want you guys to beat the tar out of each other, or do you think he's gonna try to call this thing, and the rule of law for him is gonna be, hey, I'm calling this thing right down the middle. I don't want any of you guys messing around. What Seth do you think we're gonna get as a referee? Because I think he can go both ways.
Yeah, I think kind of a mix. I think he will allude to the fact that I want you both to beat the hell out of each other, kind of thing, but keep it fair. I mean, my biggest thing for Seth is, since his return, I have really liked that he's had kind of this more serious nature to his character.
Yes.
And I hope he doesn't resort back to the cackling, because that has changed the channel heat for me. I know some people like it, but I've loved this new, he still does the flamboyant outfits and stuff, but he's got that serious edge to him again, which makes him way more compelling to me. And so I hope in this segment where he's going to have a chance to talk a lot, we don't see that old cackling Seth Rollins return. But yeah, I think it'll be encouraging you guys to beat the hell out of each other, but there are going to be rules and expectations.
Yeah, that's a great point on Seth. Like, I think he's better in the serious role without the cackling. Like, outfits play, all that, I'm okay with that. But I think just his character is better and more focused and more interesting, when he's not kind of the jokey joker kind of Seth Rollins. And so, yeah, that's great to call out. I think we definitely want to see that Seth tonight. And then, honestly too, I think you want to see like CM Punk hold his own on the microphone. Like, I think, he had an interaction with Seth Rollins a couple weeks back. Seth got the best of him. Drew is constantly owning Punk, including the picture over the weekend, or I guess it was Friday afternoon with Jack Perry. Drew's just on fire. I think CM Punk's got to step up the promo game. Step it up. Like let's throw some lines out there. Let's see some of the old CM Punk. See if he can hang with these guys, because I think it seems like Seth and Drew are out there determined to really kind of own this stuff. And I think we need to see a little bit more from Punk tonight in that regard.
Yeah, Drew has been totally outshining him when they get out there together, I think.
Yep. So totally. And not even when they're out there either. Like when they're just kind of doing stuff behind the scenes, social media. I think Drew is just he's just unhinged on another level. It's crazy. It's fun, but part of CM Punk and the allure of him and why people connected with him so well is because of that ability to kind of go back and forth, like fight back with the microphone. And I hope we get to see that a little bit tonight. I think he needs it. I think he needs that edge back. Less rah rah, I love WWE, give me a new contract, and more, Punk the character who, is going to be in a fight in a week's time.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew is next level on social media.
Oh man.
Just
A+.
unreal.
The Colt Cabana tweet from the other day. Did you see that one?
Did I see that? What did he say? Remind me. Man, Jack Perry one was hilarious.
Oh yes, that was hilarious. But the one before that, they released a shirt, a new CM Punk shirt about like beating Drew McIntyre, and like, because in the promo that I'm talking about, Punk said like, "Hey, I've never had to sell T-shirts by putting another man's name on it," and Drew quoted that and said, "Aged about as good as hi Colt Cabana, how you doing?" And it's just like epic trolling, epic social media work, Twitter Hall of Fame for that one.
Yeah, he's great.
Amazing.
I was trying to pull it up on the stream here. That was good stuff. All right, let's real quickly hit ROH and the pay-per-view that they had on Friday night, because I just saw tons of praise out there for this show. Yeah. I have watched the first two matches. I've not watched the whole thing because, again, as I mentioned at the top, birthday celebrations this weekend, didn't have a lot of free time, and the show was like a 3.5 hour show. Dude. So I started it and I saw the runtime and I was like, my God, I am not going to have time to finish this. And Zach, here's one of my problems with a show like this. So I saw all the praise. There was people saying like show of the year for this and everything. And I'm sure that the wrestling on it was outstanding. But my problem is with so many things out there that I want to watch, whether it's sports, TV series, movies, for me to sit down and watch a 3.5 hour show, I need to have some emotional investment in it. And there's just nothing on ROH that like, oh, I have to see this. I'm so ingrained in this storyline. It's just like, to me, for the most part, the ROH shows are usually just, I know it's going to be awesome wrestling, but they kind of like exist on an island. And for me as a wrestling fan, it's just not really good enough for me. I need to have more of a reason to watch. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. I mean, this card was 9 matches. 9 matches. The main card. And like the pre-show, I think had like 4.
Yeah, when I started the show on the ROH app, it has 0 hour on the same stream, and I think it was like 5 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Or no, 4 hours. 4 hours and 45 minutes. And I was like, what the? I am not watching 5 hours of this.
There's just no reason for that. I mean,
no.
I think the ROH shows in and of itself, like if you're like a regular weekly Ring of Honor watcher, they're too long. But you're exactly right, man. There's no consequence to like any of this, really. There's just not. And the thing is, maybe, if you went back, I don't know, 10 years or so, okay, you could get away with a show like this for people that just want to like watch a good wrestling show. But now, look, you got High Spots Network, you got IWTV, you've got Triller. I mean, you can find a 3.5-hour wrestling show with no consequence that has good wrestling on it so easily any day of the week at any time. It's so readily available. There are countless indie promotions that are putting on really good wrestling matches for 3.5 hours. And ultimately, that's what this was. Like, this is like a super indie show, and that's that. Like, there's no oomph behind it. There's just nothing going on. There's no reason to tune in. We had let's see, where's this chat here? I'll bring it up. Try to pull it up here. Here we go. Eddie, thank you, Eddie, says ROH doesn't have a star for me to pay attention to. And I think that's a huge issue with it. There's no like reason to watch it. Like, do people really want to tune in to see Mark Briscoe? I mean, maybe they do, but you can see him on Dynamite. He was just on the main event of Dynamite the other day. And so it's like, all right, well, I mean, that's a way cooler match than Mark Briscoe against Roderick Strong. It's like, there's just nothing here that really stands out and matters. I heard the same thing that you heard and read about as far as the show goes. Show of the year, some really great stuff, a Texas death match, the women's championship match with Athena was really good. Okay. I mean, that's great. I'm sure it was, but there has to be some consequence here. And there just isn't. Maybe 90 minutes. All right. Okay. Maybe I'll give it a go for 90 minutes, but 3.5 hours. Come on. Right. That's just too much. That's asking way, way too much of your fans, especially when you want them to watch Collision and Battle of the Belts and Rampage like that same weekend. It's obnoxiously long in my opinion.
That's what my buddy Justin Joint, who's one of my co-hosts on Top Rope Nation, he said to me. He was over here for the birthday last night, and he's like, I heard all the praise for ROH, but then at the same time, like, I look at the Battle of the Belts and Collision card, and it's like, I'm gonna watch that instead. Why would I pay to watch ROH when this is, to me, is just as entertaining? So he watched that. He said, that was a good show. Both of them were good shows. To Maddie's point, he mentioned in the chat the Rhodes and Von Erich thing. That was like the one thing I was looking forward to on ROH is, they're in Arlington. So the Von Erich boys being out there, that's cool. And that is something that I need to skip ahead and watch still. So I'll give them credit on that. But yeah, I mean, ROH, I've bought some of the pay-per-views in the past since they were acquired by AEW, but most of them were when, they were doing the FTR Briscoe feud. And those were well worth the money. Yeah. Yep. But outside of that, I mean, unfortunately, it just hasn't been a reason for me to watch it. ROH is just, it's not must see. They intertwined it on the main roster AEW stuff, which I think is a mistake. I think there needs to be some brand separation there and give me a reason to watch it. But yeah, I mean, I saw the praise. I don't really have any comments because I've only seen 2 matches from the show.
I mean, I think that they'd be really they'd be in a much better position, ROH, if you truly treated it as a separate product, because that way you can make it look different. You can, put it in different buildings. This is just like, it's like Rampage Light is really kind of what I look at it as. Like, there's some backstage promos and all that stuff, but like, there's really not any storylines. I feel like the storylines don't heat up until there is, a pay-per-view, on the horizon. So yeah, man, like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know that ROH has a place anymore outside of that library. The library, I think people would pay for. I think people would want to see. I mean, not a huge amount of people, but I mean, there'd be some people out there that want that. Outside of that, with all that AEW content out there, it's just like, doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with Maddie. It should be like NXT, and they kind of treat it like that, but I'm not a huge fan of the crossover with ROH guys constantly on Dynamite and Collision, because I don't know, it dilutes the show a little bit, and then also, it's just too many belts. Seems like everybody has a belt. It's just too much.
I couldn't agree more. Well said, Maddie. Well said, Ryan, as usual.
Yeah. All right, so guys, that's about it. Tomorrow on the show, we will run down Raw, give our thoughts on everything that happened there. Appreciate all you that tuned in live here. Thank you for the super chats, Maddie. Appreciate that. Keeps us coming back every day. We did have one other super chat from Maddie. Should I put this on the screen, Zach?
Yeah, why not? It's borderline, Maddie, but we'll put it up there.
I'm not going to explain this joke to anybody. So, what is Peter Pan's favorite place to eat out? Wendy's. Maddie. Maddie, I know it's nighttime over there. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here, sir.
Yeah, you got to remember that. Maddie. It's it's I'm not in the mindset yet for that type of joke.
Right. Oh, Maddie, we appreciate you, man, every day.
Thank you, dude.
So yeah. Ryan Blaine checking in from Twitter. Yeah, super chat FTB on YouTube. I know he's been looking for RVD because we are streaming on RVD's Twitter page. RVD will be here later this week on One True Sport, but he is so kind as a member of the family to let us stream to his page. So we appreciate that. Getting One True Sport Daily out there to all of you each and every day. And of course, both of us love Mr. Rob Van Dam. So check out his show on One True Sport later this week. Zach, what do you got going on over at Brass Ring today? Anything later on?
It's an exciting week for us, actually. We turned 1 today. Today's first birthday. So we're turning 1 today. So thank you to everybody who's, supported us and tuned in and listened to us, checked out our YouTube channel. Pretty cool to be a year old. We've got some special content coming up with that throughout the week that we'll announce on our Brass Ring Media Twitter page in a little while here, brassring_media. But of course, the best way to check all that out is just to follow us, subscribe on YouTube. Just search Brass Ring Media. We'll have some cool written content too on our Substack, which you can find just searching Brass Ring Media Substack. It's awesome. We're going to have some specials on our membership for SummerSlam week here as part of our first kind of birthday. So you can look forward to that.
Awesome. Maddie says, you guys are good podcasters. Appreciate that, man. Very nice of you, sir. That's funny that today was your 1-year anniversary because yesterday was the anniversary of Top Rope Nation. We launched within 1 day of each other.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
July 28th, 2016 was the first episode of my podcast, Top Rope Nation. And 8 years going now. So you guys can check out Top Rope Nation. We're on YouTube as well. On that show, I'm joined by Justin Joint, Jesse Velasquez. Zach has been on the show multiple times as well. Huge archive of shows. Also, wherever podcasts are found, you can get the audio. We have our flagship on Thursday nights. We do bonus shows for our Patreon supporters. We're going to have a Patreon special previewing SummerSlam later this week, but also Top Rope Nation Classics, which is our monthly deep dive into a classic show. It's always picked by our patrons. And this month, Zach, they chose WCW Bash at the Beach 2000.
Hey.
We have been hate watching this show, and
I hope
it
you
should
have
make for a hilarious podcast, though.
I hope you have a lot of alcohol on hand for that one. I think you're gonna need. I think you're gonna need it. I think you're gonna need it for the rewatch and for to talk about it again. I think you're gonna need both of those. So, good luck to you. I mean, I'll be listening. The classic episodes, man, are great. This one, you guys are gonna really have to buckle down and do your thing as good podcasters to make this great, because that show is not so good.
No, Matt, go to patreon.com/Top Rope Nation Become a patron. We've got over 150 bonus shows over there from the Top Rope Nation crew. You can join us live when we record that, or on demand on the podcast feed. Yeah, it's going to be a hilarious podcast. So I am looking forward to it. Usually when we do these classics, it's a show we love and we're over the top, going back into classic wrestling history. But this one is just going to be like, this show is garbage. It's so bad. And then, of course, the Hogan stuff with Russo and yeah.
Do you think that's like would you say that that's the worst WCW pay-per-view that you can think of? I mean, I'm sure it's not, honestly.
Probably not, but it's so down there.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm sure there's just something that I'm forgetting, but
yeah,
it's top 5. I mean, it's top 5.
Yeah.
So
no, it's real bad. It's real bad.
Man.
It's dire.
What did the patrons have against you guys this month? What did you guys? Did you insult somebody or like what's going on?
Well, you know what? It was nominated by Carl, who sometimes joins us here in the live chat. He's a Top Rope Nation patron, has been for years. And Justin joked that he wanted to subtitle this podcast "The Trial of Carl Longhorn" because he was like, "Does Carl hate us? Why is he making us watch Bash 2000?"
Yeah.
But I think they all just want to hear us bash it. So, yeah.
Well, you're going to do that. I'm looking forward to that too, frankly. So,
yeah. Yep. Yeah. Finger Poke of Doom. That was January 99 Nitro. Yeah. Yeah. So that'll be fun. I think we're recording that tomorrow night for our Patreon. So if you go to the YouTube Top Rope Nation channel, you can find a link to our Patreon if you're interested in that to become a member and get all of our bonus content for the last 8 years. Check it out. Yes, we are going to bash the bash. Pun intended, for sure. All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Appreciate all of you in the chat. Thanks for supporting the show, making One True Sport daily possible. Check out onetruesport.com. Check our merch there. And tomorrow, I'll be sporting the One True Sport Daily t-shirt. See it on the stream tomorrow. And we'll see all of you then. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.